Mickey Bresman. That was my fault. Operator error on my list. Mickey Bresman, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for not answering to Josh. I'm glad you're here. All right, Mickey, let's get
Well, I do know my name.
that's a good start. That's a good start. All right, Mickey, um, you've got a vast experience of cybercrime that you're able to stop through your processes. Give us some background on you, and then let's go right into what Semperis.com does.
Yeah, thank you. So my personal background, well, depends how back you want to go. But I've started my career on the Israeli Navy, where I was part of their IT, one of their IT units. And then I spent approximately 10 years after I was done with my military service in consulting companies, working with large companies and helping them with a variety of their IT infrastructure issues. At some point, what actually led to the idea behind Semperis. We were doing a consulting for a large financial institution, one of the banks, and we did a test as part of the bank disaster recovery preparation. We did a test of what will happen to the bank in case we will have a disaster with the most critical component at the bank, which is the directory services. Just to explain, directory services is that thing that authenticates you and then authorizes you every day that you come into the office. I mean, password. So something needs to make sure that you are who you claim you are and then let you access your mailbox, your files, and so on, and hopefully prevent you from accessing the same mailbox of your manager, for example. So the test that we were having was basically to try and see, okay, if that system was to be taken down, either by a mistake or by somebody intentionally taking it down, what will it actually mean for the organization? We do understand that it will mean a complete chaos, a complete shutdown, because you basically cannot do nothing. You cannot even log into your own laptop.
Now,
You will not be able to have.
but Mickey, let me get in there for a second with you. From my understanding, that what you do is you stop companies from being shut down for a matter of days, 2 to 3 days, and you drop it down to maybe a couple of hours if something catastrophic happens where they break into their enterprise system and start turning everything off. Is that correct?
That's correct. But I don't like to use the word stopping because let's face reality, you cannot really stop the breach. I think in the reality of today, it's quite clear that breach is going to happen. You can try and detect it. You can try and act as it happens, stopping it. Well, you can try. I mean, you should try, but it most likely you will be breached. The question then becomes, if the breach happens, what do you do next?
What do you do next?
So that's where we come to play, and there is a variety of different things that you need to consider, right? And there are some best practices in the field of how do you go to your customers about it? How do you go to your employees about it? Who do you bring in and things like that? We focus specifically on what do you do in cases, and I don't like to mention companies, but the things that were recently in the news, like the Merck story or the Deloitte story. So we focus on what got them breached, which being the Active Directory.
Mm-hmm.
That's the component that basically is used in order to provide permissions everywhere in the organization. So once you get into that, you basically can do whatever you want. You have the keys to the kingdom. To
What?
recover from something like that takes days.
Right. That was my question.
So to recover from a breach that took over your Active Directory can take you a few days, depends on how bad the attacker was trying to hurt you. And what we eventually came up with is basically a solution that allows you to revert the entire situation back to the state where you have control over the environment. And it takes approximately 30 minutes up to 2 hours, depends, of course, on the size of the organization.
Would you say what would be a 2 hour work stoppage? I mean, how big of an
Would be a global,
Okay.
yeah. So a global organization with, let's say, 100,000 employees, as an example, with where they have headquarters in the U.S., but they also have subsidiaries in India and Europe, different locations.
So you're
And they
talking
spread
like
all over.
Deutsche Bank, Coca-Cola, Caterpillar, something like that would be you could reduce it from a couple of days to a couple of hours.
That's exactly correct.
Wow. All right, let me lead here on a couple of questions. What are the current threats to enterprise identity, and as you see them from priority top to worst to least? Give me the top three.
So I think that things are definitely shifting. I think that the appearance of ransomware and the way that they attack the organizations have a big shifting in how things look like. We see more and more on ransomware attacks, and they're all being much more sophisticated. Some of them will go, I would say, all around. If you look at the latest NotPetya attack, for example, and nobody really knows for sure, well, except of the people who actually released it, but it looks like it was originally going after some of the Ukraine organizations, but then it spread either intentionally, either not, and it kind of started to go all around. One type of attack that we are now seeing. Another type of attack that we also see are the advanced threat attacks, where a single, maybe even a single person in the organization being targeted, and in order to breach his or her account by phishing mail campaigns or by some other specific attacks directed to that person through social media and so on and so forth. So this is also something that we see as a shift in the industry as well. And then the understanding, I think, that kind of comes of those two, as I mentioned previously, the understanding of the organization that it's not a question of if, it's actually more a question of when. But you will be breached, and you need to be able to have a plan in place of what do you do next.
Got it. We're out of time, Mickey. I want to thank you so much. I have so many more questions I was unable to get to, but I would like to extend an invitation so you can come back and talk about this subject with us more in depthly later. Will you do that?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Mickey Bresman, CEO, Semperis, Semperis.com. You've been listening to CEO Money with Michael Yorba, your host. This segment brought to you by our title sponsor, Tycon Partners. We'll be right back after these messages.